Good evening, you're watching The Big Question. I'm Sanjana. Generative AI is no longer just a buzzword in the advertising world. It's now a boardroom reality. According to a brand new Naukri.com report, 60% of India's top employers are already experimenting with AI tools in their marketing functions. And over half of these employees surveyed believe AI will make their work more creative, not less. But here's the flip side. 41% of advertising and marketing professionals fear that AI could lead to a loss of originality and creative thinking. And nearly 1 in 4 are worried about job security. So this evening we ask, is AI in advertising a creative collaborator or a silent killer of human imagination? We bring you voices from both ends of the spectrum. Let me quickly introduce Manish Bhatt, founder, director at Scarecrow, MNC Saatchi, who has always championed for raw human insight over algorithmic trends and joining us in the studio today. Harshil Karya, founder of Shebang, where AI isn't just being tested, it's actively shaping brand campaigns. Pawan Goyal, CBO at Naukri, who brings us ground reality from hiring managers, marketing teams and job seekers across India. And Dr. Ruksheda Saida, psychiatrist and psychotherapist, here to explore how all this change is affecting minds behind the marketing. So from chatbots and concept art to real fears of being made redundant, tonight we're going to decode what AI in advertising and all of these creative fields really means for the future of creativity. So let's come to the creative crossroads. Manish, does AI dilute originality, or do you think it can spark new forms of storytelling?
So I think actually everything works in this planet with the long-term insights. Like there were this Alexas and all, or even 3D as a technology, QR code. There's a time and there are something kind of washed off and something which actually lasted long.
Sure.
So AI has to pass that test. AI is a wider terms than these two techno gizmos I spoken about. But I think AI as a novelty, yes, it'll thrive. But you know, everybody also wants, it's under the garb of like kind of ease and convenience. Everything can't long last. It actually has to work for humanity for a longer terms. And I think if the ease and garb is the main thing, then people would have not done bungee jumping or even kind of skydiving.
Sure.
So people like the difficulties, people like the adventure, people like not all the time the ease, and hence I think AI would be a good novelty to start with. It is overarching, it is wider, so it will definitely help the human being. It is already helping. Today morning I had a presentation and I had used AI as a music track, but I don't think I would long term want to miss out on these working with music composer going to studios.
Yeah.
So I think it will prevail, the experience will prevail, the novelty will give its time. I think time being there will be a problem, but later it will all be settled.
I think even critical thinking, and that's something that we'll come to. I read a report a few weeks ago about how just the dependency on AI is also potentially reducing the feeling of being fulfilled, which comes only when you finish a certain task. Yeah. And if you're getting that kind of platform or that kind of dependency on it, that will potentially reduce. Harshil, in Shebang, how are you currently using Gen AI tools for creative output? And more importantly, are there any boundaries, any guardrails that you have?
Thanks, Sanjana. Nice to see you, and thanks for having me here. I'll just tell you a bit of context in terms of why we are so excited about AI. So historically, the marketing domain has only focused on the top of the funnel. So what do I mean by that is that we've only focused on the awareness phase of marketing. Pretty much all of marketing is focused on the awareness phase of marketing. What has happened, therefore, is that the consideration, all of the other phases of the funnel, the remarketing phase, the consideration phase, the bottom of the funnel phase, they often get ignored by marketers. What AI allows us is the opportunity to do optimum marketing at every stage of the funnel, because AI can create with speed and with scale and with a fair amount of sophistication. So you may have like all different kinds of consumers want to be spoken to differently. So you may have 10 Sanjana Chauhans, and one may like to have her email saying hi Sanjana Chauhan. One may like to have her email say hi Chow, for example. So like AI can do a lot of A/B testing to figure out at scale multifarious messages of different styles across different stages of funnel. That's why we're very excited about it. Also, at the top of the funnel, I think it gives creatives the ability to really experiment with outlandish things that production budget limitations often stop them with. So often and not, people have a lot of crazy ideas and they cannot be implemented simply because of production constraints. So that is what AI is really unlocking. In terms of guardrails, I think we're still like really figuring out the guardrails, etc. But they're coming in place. But we're using Gen AI actually now for the last 1.5 years in our everyday processes. And I think it just the thing that I see creatives enjoy is that they can see further, or they can make sure that their ideas are able to be seen further.
Okay, that's a refreshing perspective. Let's take a reality check on what the data actually says. Pawan, your report, which actually this entire discussion hinges on, shows that over half of the workforce is optimistic, but also anxious. What would you say are the biggest fears that showed up?
So I think the fears that showed up is around loss of creativity and loss of job. But that also varies from different segments. Okay. The freshers are more optimistic with respect to job creation. The experienced folks, and especially the high-paying people who are paid higher, they are more apprehensive about the impact on jobs. Okay. But overall, if you contrast to US, in US, there is a lot more pessimism about AI. But if you look at the Indian market, 86% are positive about the impact of AI. They consider it as a threat. And this is similar to China, where I think the number is 75%. So perhaps it's the developing versus developed economy where we think that there's a lot more to be accomplished. So we are more optimistic about what AI will enable us to do than in a developed market where there's a lot more pessimism around the impact of AI.
All right. So, Dr. Ruksheda, what are you seeing in terms of anxiety, burnout? Would you say there's an identity crisis among professionals because of the rise of AI? Is that something that you're noticing?
Thank you so much, Sanjana. And it's a very, very important question because, yes, what's happening today and what also is going to happen tomorrow. I work with a lot of emerging adults and young adults, and they are definitely seeing that a lot of work is getting outsourced in that sense, even though all the time they are the ones who are also consuming AI and using it to their benefit. Having said that, the fear that, okay, how long can I sustain? And for younger people, even as early as 5 years ago, we were kind of telling them that you also need to start picking professions or academic curriculums which will also be maybe AI friendly or which won't get replaced by AI. So that anxiety that we are going to be replaced by AI and how am I going to survive in this atmosphere is a very present and real issue that a lot of young people, a lot of academic institutes, a lot of training institutes are facing. And like I said, because we see that the technologies are getting advanced every single second that we speak. And even while we're embracing the technology, we are also noticing that, yes, a lot of it is also creating certain issues. We were super happy with a lot of communication technology, but that's also leading to less and less empathetic and human-to-human contact and interaction, giving rise to increased loneliness, even in a sea of people. So the similar kind of fear that this might also happen with creativity and other kind of jobs is definitely taking over and a cause for concern.
Okay, so what I want to ask, and this is exactly, I think, a perfect segue into my next question, and I want to address this to both Manish and Harshal. Manish, maybe you can address it first. What will tomorrow's advertising/creative team look like? Even if we're looking at advertising, looking at design, will we have AI copywriters as equals?
I think the replacement will take some time. The redefinition is already happening. Like for example, I am wondering whether the person with a great craft is better, or the person who get the craft done through AI is better. So even a 2-year 2-year in business versus a 15-year in business, I would probably, now looking at their skill sets to use AI to generate a temporary solutions which the users want or the clients want. So that curation is increasing, but that actually was there even during the Shutterstock came in our picture, or the stock pictures and all.
Sure.
So from shooting something to curating and using something, so that is already there. Here is a more tailor-made solutions and more crafted solutions coming. So it's frightening at this moment. It is redefining. It may impact the increments and the promotions of certain people, but I don't think it will replace people at this stage.
Got you. So what would you say is the boundary at your agency? Where do you say that, okay, this is where it stops. This is where there's no more use of anything to do with AI?
No, it's an exploration stage. So we are trying AI for everything, but we definitely understand the importance of our 60 million years of instinct which human species has developed. I don't think we call our agency as the champion of emotions in next 10 years. So where emotions will be very, 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 very expensive. There won't be that. There'll be a cold world, and the emotions and warmth will be needed. I think we would be looking for that in the time of a cold technological invasions.
Absolutely, and then we'll need more of Dr. Ruksheda in that point of time.
Yes.
I think a lot of us need her anyway. And it's so interesting that you say that, and I'm going to bring Harshal in for his perspective, because just last week we had a discussion around IT. And the similar discussion, because we were trying to assess whether then a degree mattered or then a skill set mattered. So Harshal, curious to understand from you, what would you say the future ad team looks like?
So I think if I see it, I think it's this current ad team, all of them augmented with a second brain or many second brains sitting with them. So I think I see this as a great inflection point and the opportunity for the advertising industry to really leapfrog its value to customers, because it's particularly the new rising digital side of the advertising industry has been very agile. And also, I think AI really just superpowers this whole generation of digital creatives to be able to really come almost at par with the consultancies, because what you can now do is that you can bring the sophistication and the chops of the right brain and the left brain together. And I think that's the biggest leveler for AI. I think therefore the teams that are most agile with it will work really well. With us at Shebang, what we are really pioneering is the concept of an AI second brain for every customer of ours. So right from every every online call that we have with them, we're recording transcripts of that and we're feeding it into a second brain. Every minutes of meeting is fed into a second brain. Every data point that we have is fed into a second brain. Every performance marketing data point is fed in. Every ad performance and brand uplift score is fed in. So you can really have a scenario 6 months later saying, tell me what happened in November last year and what worked in Diwali and what was the consumer saying then. And you have a lot of consumer work going on, and then you can layer that and say, how does that differentiate from what the consumer is saying now? So you have the ability to have a super intelligence at your fingertips, which can really give you a very cohesive solution to customers and make you bring the magic of people that you understand, emotion that you understand, coupled with the business understanding, coupled with technology to create a near perfect solution for customers, with agility, with scale, with depth. So I think it's one of the most exciting times the industry is going through, and it is really the opportunity for us to increase the pie of the business and bring more people into the industry.
Great insight. Pawan, your data says nearly 60% of organizations plan to integrate AI into hiring the next year. So I'm curious to understand whether you have any data or your understanding of what does that mean for creative hiring.
So we don't have data yet on what it means to creative hiring, but we also have a marketing team. But I can perhaps pitch in and saying, hey, well, what is the impact of AI on our marketing team? I think it's just a lot of potential for our marketing team. Things that they could not do earlier, they are just able to do. They are able to produce content at scale which is relevant to the audience of one. So the holy grail of marketing is right person, right time, right message. And that was done at a very broad segments, and our now marketing team is able to do with all the AI tools at the segment of one. So this just the creativity possibilities are just expanding, while there might be set of jobs which may where especially people who are not using AI, I think they will become redundant. But those who use AI, they will become better and will be able to deliver a lot more value to in the creative space.
Okay. Dr. Rukshida, from a physiological perspective, in terms of just how the human brain works, what about critical thinking? What about what we were just talking about, that feeling of being fulfilled, that boost of dopamine that one gets when you've completed a task? Please correct me if I'm just speculating or adding conjecture here. But does AI then worsen that, erode that? Does it worsen imposter syndrome in creative fields? Because the job might be done efficiently, but not as efficiently or not as fulfillingly in a way that when you sit down to really create something from ground up, right?
So thank you so much for that question. But I'm going, a lot of what is resonating is that, yes, these are still early days. We don't, right now, most of us are still feeling high that, oh, I know how to use AI and, get a better result. So we're still in that stage, even in workspaces. But when we are, I heard somewhere that emotions, and that's where the creativity comes from. That's not really true. Creativity doesn't come only because of emotions. Creativity comes from boredom. Creativity, the neural tracks that need to form in my brain for me to be able to think, like you said, critical thinking, all of that needs time and space. Just before I was coming on here, I had a 17-year-old and I asked her the same question. What do you think AI is going to do? She's like, yeah, no, nobody's going to replace human beings, and that's fine. And I asked her, you just, told me that you sit there and either the music is on or you're scrolling on something or you're doing something. So human beings in it already are not really just sitting with themselves and sitting with their thoughts and ideas to develop that problem-solving attitude that you require for everything in life, including creativity. So currently, even though people are happy that, oh, I did such a great job using AI, but it's also really started to scare people quite a lot in terms of what this may lead to. From a psychiatry point of view, it's also kind of I'm optimistic, cautiously optimistic about all technologies and AI, but it's also kind of makes me wonder, because if the AI is perfect and if an AI generated image is perfect, is that going to also then relate for me that I'm going to go away from my reality? The reality is not going to look pretty enough. I can't upload a picture of mine without putting a filter or without airbrushing something or the other. So if we're already doing that, so there's a lot of self-rejection. There's a lot of rejection of humanity in general in terms of the prettiness of it. And also the distinct difference between if I'm watching something that's fiction, that's not reality, versus I know what's real. So those kind of lines, which when they get blurred, causes a lot of human distress and a human destruction in a sense, in a way. So again, the ability to kind of decipher all of that is going to be quite problematic. And when everything is very sanitized and everything's very pretty and everything is very perfect, it's also very boring, and that makes people check out emotionally and thought-wise and all of that. So when we are, when we are seeing with the use of, like, I don't remember single cell phone number, maybe accepting for a couple of, mine or my loved ones. If you're already losing that, and if, with human beings, human bodies, it's like that. If you don't use it, you lose it. So those are some of the concerns that I bring to the table today, even though I'm being, like I said, cautiously optimistic about AI.
I'm hopefully noting down and furiously noting down all of this, so that, because the use it, don't lose it, adage stays with me. So thanks so much for that. Manisha, I'm curious to understand, how are clients responding to this? Are they hesitant? Are they maybe opting for something faster, efficient? Are they excited? Are they saying, आपने नहीं किया है, AI ने किया है, तो इतने सारे पैसे चार्ज मत कीजिए?
So we are not telling them that it's done by AI.
Okay.
Today morning also
Right.
I lied to a client that, okay, this track has been recorded.
Okay,
So
okay.
we are in that stage where we can take that liberty.
Clients, I hope you're not watching them.
But yes, I think eventually it will be an open thing for everyone. It's like a computer, everybody uses it. So it's like that. I think it's going to go that path, but I see it not like a trend. Trend is everybody saying, Herschel spoke, everybody spoke about how we use it.
Yeah.
But I think I always have seen things like a art style, like a partitions, wars, pandemics,
Yeah.
and this AI boom is all going to pass. And I think how the art, see, the commercial art will become more fine art when the commerce stop supporting it. So if the commercial field is going to be dependent on the machines, and then the human will thrive to become a better fine artist. I
Right.
would say my advertising and creative team would rather be a much more creative, because they're now not that their other jobs is also being done, so they'll be more. I would look at it as an opportunity of another art movement, like how the expressionisms and postmodernisms and many isms have happened. I think this will be a AI-ism maybe for us.
Okay. Harshal, do you see AI then widening the gap between agencies that adapt and those that resist?
Yeah, definitely. I think it is actually, without doubt, the biggest opportunity that we have. I think it's rewiring every part of the process. Intelligence is more scalable, work is more scalable, and the agencies, and also not just the agencies, but all workplaces that adapt faster to AI will move forward faster. So there's no doubt that this is the biggest inflection and opportunity that we have. This is way bigger than social media. This is way bigger than digital marketing.
Okay, so Pawan, you, according to your report, and this is something that we have actually covered, 41% of ad professionals fear loss of originality. So is there any data that you have supporting that in terms of how the employers are addressing that fear internally?
We don't have that data, and it is still all very new.
Sure.
Okay, if you just put in perspective, ChatGPT is less than 2.5 years old technology. So I think when I speak to the employers, they're all still figuring out how to transition to this AI first world. What we see right now, it is in enterprises. It is mostly at pilot stages, and it's not yet moved to mainstream. But as they go to mainstream, perhaps some of these anxieties that you mentioned, that's where the organizations will have to deal with them. But it's still at pilot stage in most organizations that I'm aware of.
All right. So final closing, and I'm just going to come to Dr. Ruksheda on that. The kind of advice, not asking for free advice on national TV, but the kind of advice that you would give to people that are anxious about job security, anxious about critical thinking or dependency, or then just feeling empty, feeling that void because maybe the work isn't as fulfilling because of this heavy dependency that we all have on AI now?
Fear is always about uncertainty. Fear is always about anxiety is always about losing control, and all of that. The uncertainty. All of us are uncertain. We don't know how far AI is going to work and for what. So for us to say that, oh, that's not a real fear, it's just anxiety, it's in your head, wouldn't be really true. Having said that, we look at like Singapore government. They have offered free or discounted educational courses for people who are in their 40s or over, so that they can relearn or learn different skills, which, because a lot of jobs are going to get redundant, and that's a real possibility. So people who do feel that yes, their work is going to get replicated, we would also encourage them that, okay, if you do have a problem, go ahead and solve it, figure out what your resources are, and figure out how you can either have a lateral move, if not a linear move, in terms of your career, and in terms of dealing with a real problem in employability and just living expenses and all of that. Yes, all of us are going to have some side hustle, it looks like, if you're not in a situation, in a job which doesn't require AI. So definitely looking at yourself, looking at your requirements, looking at your life, looking at your resources, and then seeing how you can adapt to the technologies is something that we've been encouraging everyone. I mean, we're teaching grandmothers how to use video calls and things like that.
Right.
So good. So we definitely want to stay with it a little longer, not get too scared, but at the same time not be very frivolous about or neglectful of your own future. And if you're worried about something, definitely figure out a way to help yourself to reduce that uncertainty, get more answers, get more trustworthy.
All right. Okay, so if you can't beat them, join them. And that's what we're trying to figure out this evening. Is AI the destroyer of creativity or a muse in disguise? From campaign design to career definitions, the advertising industry is undeniably at a turning point. This evening's discussion showed us that while AI can speed things up, creativity still needs curiosity, empathy, and imagination, qualities machine can't replicate, just as yet. But for professionals, one thing is clear: adapting is not optional. Whether you resist it or ride the wave, AI is here to stay. Thank you to all my panelists joining me this evening. We'll keep tracking this shift for you only on NDTV Profit. Thanks so much for watching.